Welcome Secretary Pompeo, members of the U.S. Senate, and our many other distinguished guests. Good morning. I'm Robert Cao, the sponsor for today's conference. It's my great pleasure to share my thoughts and concerns on a critical issue affecting peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and beyond, the PRC's anti-secession law. My life's work has been in the research and the development of semiconductor chip design and manufacture. In 2020, Dr. Morris Chang of TSMC and I jointly received an award from the Hsinchu Science Park for our outstanding achievements and contributions to Taiwan's high-tech industry. In recent years, however, my time, attention, and energy have gradually turned toward the security and survival of Taiwan. Growing threat from the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, have made me increasingly uneasy about the future of my country. Consequently, I decided to organize a fund of $100 million aimed at reinforcing Taiwan's security and encouraging greater international support for Taiwan. Indeed, the stability of this region is of critical importance to the world. Conflict over the Taiwan Strait would inevitably lead to adverse consequences, several magnitudes greater than those in Ukraine and Israel combined. In my area of expertise, semiconductor chips, it is a fact that over 90% of the world's most advanced sub-10 nanometer chips come from Taiwan. These chips are needed to power the next generation of AI technologies that are reshaping the world as we know it. If war breaks out in Taiwan, the disruption, not to mention the cessation of chip production, would undermine the development of AI-related industries across the world for many years to come, leading to immeasurable multi-sector economic losses. More immediately, nearly 50% of the world containers traffic and 90% of the largest container ship by tonnage pass through the Taiwan Strait. A war here would be catastrophic for global trade and economic growth. This is why former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, warned that what affects Taiwan affects Japan as well. Taiwan and our democratic partners and friends have much at stake. Our shared economic and technological future, our shared belief in and support for freedom and democracy, and our collective opposition to the evils of authoritarianism. There's also undoubtedly a global interest in maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. To achieve this objective, we need to be pragmatic in identifying the heart of the threat we face. We must collectively dismantle the underlying PRC rationale for its claim to Taiwan, in the same way we might dismantle the trigger of a bomb. This is my main purpose in supporting a conference such as this. Solving this equation isn't hard to do. The answer is right in front of us. It lies in the anti-secession law that the Chinese Communist Party enacted in 2005. The pretext and content of the anti-secession law states that Taiwan has been an inseparable sacred part of China since ancient times. It emphasizes that the PRC is committed to annexing Taiwan and use the guise of unification as the justification. If the Taiwanese people do not capitulate, it states that the PRC will use military force to achieve national unification. What goes unsaid are the historical inaccuracies, lies, threats, and disregard for international law that form the foundation of what the anti-secession law is and does. The historical fact is that Taiwan had little connection to China as we know it prior to 1683, much less ancient times. 1683 was the year the Qing dynasty invaded and occupied coastal areas of western Taiwan. 2 centuries later, in 1895, the Qing Empire and the Empire of Japan signed the Treaty of Shimonoseki, which ceded Taiwan to Japan's sovereignty. After the end of the Second World War, Japan renounced its sovereignty over Taiwan in the Treaty of San Francisco. No formal international treaty has ever even addressed the sovereignty of Taiwan. Another key fact is that the CCP had, at one time, supported self-determination in Taiwan. In 1947, Mao Zedong stated in the People's Liberation Army newspaper that we support Taiwan's independence. We support Taiwan establishing a country of its own as they request. Why then did the CCP support Taiwan's self-determination in the past, but now insist on annexing Taiwan? The answer can be seen in this map. What we can see at the forefront is the current territory of the People's Republic of China. The surrounding red areas were territories that were once occupied by the Qing Empire, but later ceded to other countries after 1820. This includes over 1.8 million square kilometers of northern territory that were ceded to Russia, and the 36,000 square kilometers of Taiwan that were ceded to Japan. The CCP's focus on annexing Taiwan, while ignoring the red areas in the north, now part of Russia, reveals that China's claim of recovering its sacred territory since ancient times is merely a smokescreen. Its true objective in now trying to annex Taiwan is to use it as an unsinkable aircraft carrier in its competition for strategic dominance in the Pacific. This is not only directed against the US, but also other countries in the region, including Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Vietnam. This is the reason why the CCP cannot peacefully coexist with its neighbors, including Taiwan. As a renowned Chinese historian and a Princeton University professor, Yu Yingshi points out in his book, Democracy and Cross-Strait Trend, Mao Zedong's regime, established in 1949, was thoroughly a modernized regime of hooligans or street thugs. The CCP eradicated every Chinese person's independent means of subsistence, concentrating national wealth in the hands of the hooligan regime, with the distribution entirely dependent on its authority. Consequently, after 1949, there were only two major classes within China: the powerful class, meaning the CCP hooligan regime, and the powerless class, meaning all the rest of the Chinese people. As one of the CCP's top military masterminds, Lin Biao, once said, in China, having power means having everything. Without power, you have nothing. This truly represents the CCP's system of belief. The CCP of today is a continuation of all it stood for in 1949. It pursues absolute power and its privilege that stem from it. More enlightened modern values, including democracy, freedom, human rights, and science, mean nothing to them. The CCP is characterized by its tight grip on power. It is unwilling to relax its grip in the slightest, even if that were in the overall interest of the Chinese people. The regime, in effect, is merely a modern iteration of the age-old Chinese dynastic system. Those were Yu Yingshi's words. I present them here because they are necessary to understand the context of what a CCP is and represents. These are precisely the reason why China's economic development did not lead to democracy, as we once expected, but instead drove greater centralization and military assertiveness. Democracy would only have placed limits on the CCP's authority. Instead, military expansionism further reinforces its continual growth of power. After the CCP was admitted to the United Nations in 1972 by Resolution 2758, it used every opportunity to misrepresent the resolution to prevent Taiwan from achieving greater international recognition. In 2005, the CCP went a step further, introducing its own unilateral anti-secession law, which permits non-peaceful means to unify Taiwan. The CCP thereby justified to itself the future invasion of Taiwan is a matter of a PRC law. Such PRC actions are designed to distort international perceptions, leading countries to believe that the PRC possesses sovereignty over Taiwan. They are also intended to foster political division within Taiwan, presenting unification as inevitable and freedom and democracy as without a purpose. I hope this conference helps everyone here more deeply understand that the present challenges in the Taiwan Strait do not stem from Taiwan, but derive from the CCP's expansionist ambitions. If the CCP were to achieve its goal of annexing Taiwan through the anti-secession law, then the end of the Taiwan problem would inevitably be the beginning of a much larger global challenge. My thanks to you all.